What would you do if everyone told you your dream was impossible? This is the story of a boy who refused to give up, even when the world said no, and how his patience and perseverance changed not just his life, but the lives of an entire village. In a small, remote village surrounded by mountains, there lived a boy named Ravi. His family was poor, and every day was a struggle just to put food on the table. But Ravi had a dream so big that it seemed impossible. He wanted to build a school in his village so that no child would ever have to walk miles to get an education. This is the story of how one boy's determination turned a dream into reality. Once upon a time, in a small village surrounded by lush green fields and tall mountains, there lived a young boy named Ravi. The village was peaceful but poor, and life was hard for everyone. Most families worked as farmers, growing just enough food to feed themselves. Children in the village rarely went to school because the nearest one was in a town far away, and no one could afford to send their kids there. But Ravi was different. He had a dream so big that it seemed impossible. He wanted to build a school right in his village so that no child would ever have to walk miles to get an education. Ravi's family was one of the poorest in the village. His parents worked tirelessly in the fields, but they barely earned enough to put food on the table. Ravi helped them every day, waking up early to tend to the crops and fetch water from the well. But even as he worked, his mind was always on learning. He would listen carefully whenever travelers passed through the village, sharing stories about the world outside. He loved hearing about science, history, and faraway places. His heart ached to go to school, but he knew his family couldn't afford it. One day, while working in the fields, Ravi had an idea. If he couldn't go to school, maybe he could bring a school to the village. He ran home and excitedly told his parents about his plan. His mother smiled sadly and said, "Ravi, we don't have the money or the resources to build a school. It's a nice dream, but it's impossible." His father nodded in agreement. "Focus on your work, son. That's what will help us survive." But Ravi couldn't let go of his dream. He decided to start small. He began gathering the younger children in the village under a large banyan tree near his home. Using sticks, he wrote letters and numbers in the dirt and taught them whatever he knew. At first, only a few children came, curious about what Ravi was doing. But soon, more and more kids started joining. They loved learning, even if it was just under a tree with no books or desks. Word about Ravi's tree school spread quickly. Some villagers admired his determination, while others laughed and said it was a waste of time. "You're just a boy," they said. "What can you do?" But Ravi didn't listen. He kept teaching, day after day, even when the weather was harsh or he was tired from working in the fields. One evening, after a long day of teaching and farming, Ravi sat under the banyan tree, staring at the stars. He felt a wave of doubt wash over him. "What if I'm just wasting my time?" he thought. "What if nothing ever changes?" Just then, an old man from the village walked by and saw Ravi sitting alone. The man sat down beside him and asked, "What's troubling you, young one?" Ravi shared his dream of building a school and all the challenges he faced. The old man listened quietly and then said, "Ravi, do you know how a bamboo tree grows? For years, it stays underground, showing no signs of growth. But beneath the soil, its roots are growing strong. Then, one day, it shoots up and becomes one of the tallest trees in the forest. Your dream is like that bamboo. It may take time, but if you stay patient and keep working, it will grow." The old man's words gave Ravi hope. He realized that success wasn't about quick results but about staying consistent, no matter how long it took. The next day, he went back to teaching with even more energy. He started writing letters to the government, asking for help to build a school. He even walked to the nearby town to meet officials and share his story. Many people ignored him, but Ravi didn't give up. Months passed, and Ravi heard nothing. The villagers began to lose hope. "You tried," they said. "That's enough." But Ravi refused to quit. He continued teaching under the tree, even when the rains came and the winds blew. He reminded himself of the bamboo tree and kept going. Then, one day, a miracle happened. A group of officials from the town visited the village. They had heard about Ravi's tree school and wanted to see it for themselves. Ravi showed them the children learning under the banyan tree and shared his dream of building a proper school. The officials were moved by his passion and determination. They promised to take his story to the higher authorities. A few weeks later, a letter arrived in the village. It was from the government, approving the construction of a school. Ravi couldn't believe his eyes. He ran through the village, shouting the news to everyone he met. The villagers were overjoyed. They couldn't believe that a young boy's dream was coming true. The construction of the school wasn't easy. There were delays, shortages of materials, and countless challenges. But Ravi was there every step of the way, helping wherever he could. He reminded himself of the lesson he had learned: patience and perseverance. Slowly but surely, the school began to take shape. Finally, the day came when the school was completed. It was a small building with just a few rooms, but to Ravi and the villagers, it was a palace. On the first day of school, Ravi stood at the entrance, welcoming the children. Tears filled his eyes as he realized that his dream had come true. The children laughed and cheered, excited to learn in a real school. Years later, Ravi became a teacher at the very school he had helped build. He inspired countless children to dream big and never give up, no matter how impossible their goals seemed. The school became a symbol of hope for the entire village, proving that with patience and perseverance, anything is possible. Ravi's story teaches us that no dream is too big if we have the patience to wait and the perseverance to keep going. Life will throw obstacles in our way, but every small step we take brings us closer to our goal. Just like Ravi, we all have the power to create change, not just for ourselves, but for those around us. If Ravi's story inspired you, share it with someone who needs a little motivation today. And remember, no matter how tough the journey, never give up on your dreams. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more stories of hope and perseverance. See you in the next video.